Greetings everyone, I'm Record the Second, and welcome back to the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 retrospective. I didn't want to record right away, but fuck it man, I just want to keep playing this game. So there's a bunch of ground left to cover. I'm gonna start over just to show you how to skip the night. I'm pretty sure Scott got rid of it by the third game because people kept finding these. But the difference here is instead of just pressing CD+, you have to do it while your mouse is over the trigger of the Toy Freddy nose on the poster. There you go. Same combination of keys, if you never knew how to do that, there it is. And also all the same stuff I showed with the previous game, with the switching to windowed mode, as well as, by the way, conveniently starts you over at the same place of the frame. But that's just kind of how Click Team works. Like, the frame will always start on the left. You can only go right, which is why in FNaF 3, even though it's not very intuitive, it also will still do that. There's a couple things I want to mention though before we go there. On the phone calls, it's impossible to cover all the information, but he said summer job, and it's a thing that threw so many people off, like, oh my god, these calls are pre-recorded way in advance. Is it actually summertime? Like, what's going on? Literally just a fucking term that explains that it's a short-term job. Like, you can just Google this right now. It's a thing. People say that. People thought it would specifically mean summer as the time of year. But yeah, lots of people believe it, especially people who are not fluent in English and don't know this term. They would think it's a summer job, as in summertime. Basically, there's one more thing he mentions, that the old location was left to rot for quite a while, for like 2 years I think, because 1985 I think we all accept is like the date of the missing children's incident, which is logically after that the restaurant, the original Freddy Fazbear's, would have to be left to rot for 2 years, right? I don't know exactly the timeline there, but he did say for quite a while, so I don't know. Is 2 years quite a while? Or is that not enough? He also mentioned facial recognition, and it's kind of a small plot point that kind of comes up here and there. It's honestly just kind of explained to hand wave away any theories about the animatronics being possessed, like, oh, they're just, you know, they're malfunctioning systems or something. But it's not the case. I'm a firm believer in the fact that the toy animatronics are also possessed. I know they don't come up very often. We don't really know the kids who are possessing them at all. We don't know nearly as much as we do about the MCI children. They're not so plot relevant, but they definitely possess these animatronics. That I'm 100% certain of. And I'm gonna be talking more about that later once we get into the lore a little bit more. There's a lot more to mention about the phone call, but I just want to get into the game before I start talking about it, and I don't know. I'm gonna try to talk about multiple phone calls, I guess.
Hello? See, I told you wouldn't have any problems. Did, Foxy ever appear in the hallway? Probably not. I was just curious. Like I said, he was always my favorite. They tried to remake Foxy, you know? They thought the first one was too scary, so they redesigned him to be more kid-friendly and put him in Kids Cove. To keep the toddlers entertained, you know. But kids these days just can't keep their hands to themselves. The staff literally had to put Foxy back together in every shift. Eventually they just stopped trying and left him as some kind of take apart, put back together attraction. Now he's just a mess of parts. I think the employees refer to him as just the mangle. Oh hey, before I go, I wanted to ease your mind about any rumors you might have heard lately. You know how these local stories come and go and seldom mean anything. I can personally assure you that whatever is going on out there, however tragic it may be, has nothing to do with our establishment. It's just all rumor and speculation, people trying to make a buck, you know. Our guard during the day has reported nothing unusual, and he's on watch from opening till close. Okay, well anyway, hang in there and I'll talk with you tomorrow.
Okay, so this call didn't give us that much information, so I'm gonna go over some of the stuff from the previous phone calls. He did mention Mangle, which is so bizarre. What the fuck is this character's deal? It's a cool character, don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorites actually in the whole series. It's one of the best designs, one of the coolest characters in general. But this whole story about kids taking the animatronic apart and then putting it back together, it just makes so little sense. Even MadPat in his Dream Theory video called it out like, this is stupid. It's like so dumb, Scott. No way this could actually happen. And yeah, like, it wouldn't happen in the real world, but the bizarre world of FNaF, it's somehow a realistic scenario, I guess. Yay, the WITHEREDS are here, I guess. That's cool. Oh, you fucking asshole. You are here too. Yeah, I've seen you before. Whatever. So yeah, Balloon Boy, what the hell is that character's deal? Super strange addition. Like, it thematically speaking doesn't fit, but I guess the assumption here is that there's all these different restaurants and franchises and all that kind of bullshit going on, and they could just swap characters around here and there if they feel like it. I mean, we've done it in Pizza Simulator. We just bought random fucking characters to put in our restaurant. We can technically do whatever the hell we want, so it's not too bizarre, I guess. So the trick here is that you have to pull your mask down And I usually do it automatically at this point, like I'm just used to it. That's the tick for this game. When you get to the later nights, it's basically required to do that. And you can just hold your mouse over that area, like the lower half of the screen, while it's doing the blackout, and it'll automatically lift your mask for you, which is a very useful thing to have. I wonder if it could be like a cool difficulty setting to not do that, like you have to do it yourself. So it's a very bizarre animatronic, and it would be cool to see Mangle like actually look different from every night. The story is that the kids put it apart and then back together. How does it make any sense that Mangle looks the exact same every single night? It doesn't make any sense. And yeah, Chica looking really cool. Again, Scotty C cutting some corners here and there. If you go back to Jesus, Freddy. And I think Chica went, yep, there she is. So this will stun them for like a little bit. It's not really communicated well to you at all how stunned they are. You know, this game doesn't have a lot of feedback. The little feedback we do get is also not the most helpful, because it's the same vent bump noise for all the vents, all the characters leaving or arriving. How do you know who's moving when? On later nights, it's just, you know, a mix of bumping sounds. There's no way to tell who's coming or leaving. Ooh, I might have been actually killed here. Yeah, you gotta be quick with it, and sometimes it's merciful, but not always. I'm not sure if I'm actually still alive yet. I guess I am. Anyways, you gotta be careful, because there's also no indicator for this again. You gotta just like feel in your gut you're not safe. But sometimes you are alive. That whole element of randomness is one of the scariest parts of this game, because in general this game isn't really scary. Like, it's scary when you don't know what's going on, but it got like a brighter location. It's more about stress and difficulty than, you know, horror. So that's kind of like the crux of this game. So if you're into that more, then this might be your favorite FNaF game, right? So not everyone likes the horror aspect. Some people like the gameplay more. I kind of like both, more or less the same, I would say. I like FNaF 4 more because it masters both, in my opinion. More information from the phone calls. Let's just skip the whole Mango thing. It's weird, but whatever. We just kind of have to roll with it, I guess. And yeah, I have not been putting the mask on. I'm not quite used to that again. Ooh, Toy Bonnie. Yeah, Toy Bonnie fucking sucks. He is the #1 reason why so many 10-20 mode runs fail, because he's stuck totally randomized. He can be there forever and not come out of the vent. He can ruin your whole run easily. So Toy Bonnie fucking sucks as a game mechanic. Like, I get it, but it's a little too much. It's not hard, it's just like annoying. It's not fair, basically. We kind of saw it briefly, but one of my favorite renders from this game is Foxy in the parts and service room. You don't really see him there any other time, but when he shows up there, it looks really cool. One more thing about the previous phone calls. I'm sorry, I'm trying to concentrate. There's like a second screen I have that I'm trying to read the notes off of. He did mention the day guard. I kind of like asked, who do you think that is? It's William. It's definitely fucking William. 100% that was him. And considering the fact that he told them like, hey, these guys are moving at night, this might be how he found out that the animatronics are possessed. I'm not sure. The whole timeline with this sister location and the Bite of 83, that whole thing is a whole mess. I'm not gonna get into that can of worms today, but yeah, like that's a theory. That could have been how he found out about it. They were also talking about advanced mobility. I know it's a kind of a throwaway little detail in this phone call that Scott said. I love that. It's like very similar to the hallucination screen of Bonnie and the rare screen from the first game, so it looks cool. They're both super creepy, but this is the real scary part. Oh my god, it's Golden Freddy. Oh my god, no, he's so scary. Anyway, back to the call. These are cool, don't get me wrong. Like, these cutscenes are super cool. It's just I've seen them before, you know. I'm not gonna play it up like, oh my god, it's so scary. Advanced mobility. I think that's kind of just there to explain how Mangle can move on the ceiling, because that's also outlandish. They were supposed to believe that Mangle can just do that. Anyways, I've got to restart the game real quick. Sorry about that. I want to read off these notes that I have. You also have this criminal database, so obviously it's a consequence of a missing children's incident with a criminal getting involved, so they wanted to make this location super safe. Well, the first night guard to work in that whole location was William, and now it's you. And we're playing as Jeremy Fitzgerald, which is the victim of the Bite of 87. It makes sense, it lines up timeline-wise, and also we know that Jeremy, who possesses Bonnie, that's literally flashing right now, also doesn't have his face in this game. That's a connection. Then you have the FNaF VR Jeremy, who also cut his own face off. 3 Jeremys, all with their face off. Which is kind of pointing to the fact that Jeremy Fitzgerald got his forehead bit. I think that's pretty much accepted canon at this point. Like, people just... I'm pretty sure everyone believes this. I don't think anyone denies that Jeremy was the victim of the bite. But it's a cool way to connect, you know, all the Jeremys, because people theorized that before we even knew the names of the kids, let alone the FNaF VR game. It wasn't even out. So their explanation for the animatronics, they're kind of bullshit, because they don't really know what's going on. Like, they don't know that they're possessed, or if they know, they're trying to hide that fact. So they're trying to say like, oh, there's no proper night mode, that's the theory. As Fungi said, our engineers don't have an explanation for why animatronics might be moving at night. There's no explanation. It doesn't make sense. But their theory is that they're trying to find customers. One thing I wanted to clarify as well is, he mentioned in the first game that there's a whole thing with they see you as a naked endoskeleton, which is why they want to stuff you in a suit, but it's not true because there's literally a naked endoskeleton in the parts and service room. What sucks about this game, the phone calls here, is that they reference it again, and they say, oh, just put on the mask. Okay, why didn't we have a mask in FNAF 1 then? Doesn't really make any sense. That's a plot hole, basically. And yeah, I just don't like the fact that there's a plot hole, and obviously that's not true. So it doesn't make sense for them to reference it again in this game. Like I said, going back to relying a little too hard on trying to convince you this is a sequel, they should have just said like, hey, put a mask on, it'll mask for their facial recognition or something, like whatever, you know. That's just my thoughts on it. Okay, I have a couple more notes, but I just want to get back to the game. I know you probably already clicked off by this point. I've been talking quite a lot about these specific details. But yeah, so the music box was the temporary solution for all the characters, right? As Fungi stated, if we believe him, which we don't. Not because he's malicious, but because he usually doesn't know himself what the fuck is happening here.
Hey there, Night 4. I told you you'd get the hang of it. Okay, so just to update you, there's been somewhat of an investigation going on. We may end up having to close for a few days. I don't know. I want to emphasize, though, that it's really just a precaution. Fazbear Entertainment denies any wrongdoing. These things happen sometimes. It'll all get sorted out in a few days. Just keep an eye on things and I'll keep you posted. Just as a side note though, try to avoid eye contact with any of the animatronics tonight if you can. Someone may have tampered with their facial recognition systems. We're not sure. But the characters have been acting very unusual, almost aggressive towards the staff. They interact with the kids just fine, but when they encounter an adult, they just stare. Anyway, hang tight, it'll all pass. Good night.
Yes, so that's a strong point towards my theory that the toys are definitely possessed. They look weird at adults, but they're fine with children, because an adult killed them. They're possessed by children. It's not a glitch. No one tampered with their facial recognition. Again, like the theory with whatever I mentioned before, with the not having the proper name or whatever. It's just a theory. Like, it's not true. It's not actual lore. It's just what Fungi or the company think is happening, but it's not actually the case at all. They're definitely possessed, and we'll see the minigame that portrays that sometime. I'm not going to die. At least I'm gonna try not to die in this game. I'm pretty good at this game, dude. So like, yeah, it's only when we're gonna get to the really bad nights that I might start dying. Even then, like, I'm pretty fucking cracked at this game, so I don't know, maybe my hubris is gonna bite me in the ass afterwards, but for now I'm feeling pretty damn confident. I'm trying to look at the camera sometimes to catch a couple of these renders because they're cool. It's just like really hard to get that because of all the shit happening, like the music box. Really unforgiving mechanic in this game. So if this sound isn't playing, you can kind of just relax. You're not in danger. But you know, it didn't play for like 2 seconds and it came back up. Very iconic, very memed sound at this point. People have memed this one to death, and I get why. It's kind of funny. I am just trying to survive here. So yeah, he mentioned an investigation. So by this point, clearly the DCI, as people call it, the Dead Children's Incident, has already occurred, and they're investigating the location. It's a weird little plot point, like I mentioned in the previous video, I'm pretty sure, because it's like almost never brought up again. Even though 5 whole children, just dead ass, get stabbed in the middle of this place with bodies just everywhere, as we see in that minigame, it's like almost never mentioned again. Compared to the MCI, which is referenced heavily in the future of the series, we go back to that one a lot. I love Freddy standing in the hallway though. It looks fucking awesome. And also it's kind of useful for us because he blocks the other animatronics from coming in. So it's kind of beneficial almost. Ooh, almost missed that one. So the sound, like, sometimes the sound will help you, but like, this is the quiet one. This time I almost got caught with my pants down on that one. So yeah, just gonna be wary of the visuals. It's a little hard sometimes to see that they're in the office because of all the flickering of the blackout. But yeah, gotta be careful. Alright, just leave. Yeah, I don't know exactly how long they take to leave, but I kind of have a feel for it by this point. Yeah, just like I said before, it's kind of hard with all the different vent sounds. You don't know which ones are the ones that are telling you that they left. So yeah. Oh, I didn't even know Mangle ever showed up there. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. Yeah, that's fucking weird. Anyways, you don't get to appreciate these things when you play the game. Oh my god, that might have been it actually. I'm not sure though, might still be alive. I'm really bad with my flashlight though. As you can tell, I am familiar with how everyone works. I'm trying to actually survive. I'm not trying to show you all the jump scares and die on purpose. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be okay. Okay, so it's gonna be the last night for this video. I'm gonna do, like, I'm trying to do 2 nights per video because that's like a healthy amount, I think, to make the video not too long. I know my rambling doesn't help. I thought I saw something there for a second. Another interesting thing about the images in this game, like, if Balloon Boy was standing there, I would not be able to see him because of Chica, because instead of just Chica being there in the middle, the whole office is rendered, kind of like it is in FNaF 1. You can see the entire office, and it's covering up Balloon Boy. So like I said before, this game does have a problem with sprite prioritization, just to a lesser extent. I don't know why he did it that way. Like, even in these vent lights, when you see something in the vent, that texture is covering the whole screen, not just the vent. It's like really not efficient. I wonder why Scott didn't just like crop these things to make it simpler. Like, for himself, it should have been easier. I don't know. It would have been more efficient, would have saved more memory than having to render everything, like the whole office, just to show that someone's in the vent. See you in the next episode for night 5 and night 6, and then we're gonna be getting into all the custom night challenges. And try to beat 1020. I might stream that because that's not gonna be fucking fast at all. Ooh, Bonnie, damn, you might have actually killed me right there. I don't know, I think I was pretty damn fast, but you know, you never know. You know that you never know. That's what you know. It's kind of 5 AM here, might as well just like wrap it up and sit it out. I don't feel like charging the music box anymore. But yeah, Foxy, it's gonna take much less time to kill you, so I'm definitely gonna be concentrating on Foxy. And these nights are pretty damn long in these first 2 games, but I'm pretty damn close to the end of the line here, so I'm gonna be just chilling here in the office. Yep, I was correct. Yeah, so interesting that the music box works only on the puppet, so obviously their theory about them looking for customers didn't make any sense. So here's something interesting. Why is Chica not looking at me? Oh my god. This is the puppet. As people call, it's actually technically the marionette, but no one likes that name. It's too long, it's too weird. But yeah, I know there's a difference between puppets and marionettes. So technically this character is named the Marionette, but no one calls it that. It's the puppet. Like, it's such a better name, even if it's not actually true. Kind of like Shadow Bonnie is a much better name than the one the character actually has. Again, it's me. I don't know why it's only like 2 messages. We had error first, then we had it's me. That was like it. And the withereds smell still, so I'm kind of wondering. So when people were trying to redesign them, right, they were changing their body and stuff. No one saw the dead bodies. Do you think it's possible that William saw the dead bodies and then found them and then buried them, maybe like hid the evidence? They still smell, like that would be fine, like the stain remaining on the fabric, that makes sense. But at some point someone must have found the dead bodies of the children. It's one of the big plot holes in the series that just like never gets addressed, but I like to headcanon the fact that William, working as the day shift guard, found the bodies, hid the evidence, and that's why no one else has found the bodies. That would have at least made some kind of sense. And I like that Foxy's a bit twitchy, as Phone Guy said. Foxy is on purpose being like one of the most unique characters, which is giving Foxy an interesting mechanic in this game, because every other animatronic almost is very, very basic, but Foxy has a bunch of complexities in his mechanic. One thing I don't like about Foxy is that he will always show up, even if you set him to 0. That's actually one of my main issues with the custom night in general. When I'm setting a character to 0, I want him to be never moving the whole night. But for some reason, Scott doesn't agree with that logic, and eventually they'll all start moving. I know that's how the games are coded, but if I was coding this game, I would prevent it from happening. Like, specifically, if the animatronic is set to 0, he will never move during the night. That's what I would do. But yeah, Foxy is still cool because when you have your mask down, it'll ramp up his aggression. You cannot stay in the mask for too long because Foxy will just fucking kill you if you do that, even despite the puppet. In other videos, in more detail, people can explain them to you, like this mechanic. It's actually kind of cool, but yeah, it just kind of shows that Foxy was one of those unique aspects of the game that Scott really tried, like did not cut any corners when it came to Foxy. And that's kind of it, I guess, for this episode. Don't forget to smash subscribe, ring my bell, and as always, stay